Have you ever wondered where nuclear energy actually comes from? Is it something we invent? And what makes it so incredibly powerful? Stick around, because we're about to demystify one of the most potent forces humans have ever harnessed. First things first, a common misconception is that we create nuclear energy. The truth is we don't. We simply unlock it. The energy is already there, packed tightly inside the core or nucleus of an atom. Think of it like a coiled spring, just waiting for the right trigger to release its stored power. The two main ways to release this energy are nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Fusion is what powers our sun. It smashes atoms together. But here on Earth, our nuclear power plants all use fission, which is the process of splitting atoms apart. So let's dive into that. The key ingredient for nuclear fission is a very specific element, uranium, but not just any uranium. We need a special version, or isotope, called uranium-235. What makes U-235 so special? Its nucleus is huge and wobbly, making it inherently unstable and perfectly primed for splitting. So, how do we split it? Imagine the scene inside a nuclear reactor. We take a tiny subatomic particle, called a neutron, and fire it like a microscopic bullet straight at a uranium-235 atom. When this neutron hits the nucleus, it pushes it over the edge. The nucleus becomes so unstable that it can't hold itself together anymore and instantly splits into two smaller atoms like krypton and barium. This split is what we call fission. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. When that atom splits, it releases three crucial things. First, a massive burst of energy, mostly in the form of heat. Second, it kicks out 2 or 3 more high-speed neutrons. And third, it releases radiation. Those newly freed neutrons are the key to everything. They fly off and slam into other nearby uranium-235 atoms, causing them to split, release more energy, and, you guessed it, release even more neutrons. This creates a self-sustaining loop, an exponentially growing domino effect known as a chain reaction. This chain reaction can go one of two ways. In an atomic bomb, this reaction is designed to be completely uncontrolled. It all happens in a fraction of a second, releasing a devastating amount of energy all at once. It's pure, catastrophic power. But in a nuclear power plant, the goal is the exact opposite. We want control. To manage the reaction, we use what are called control rods. These rods are made of materials like boron or cadmium, which are excellent at absorbing neutrons. By raising or lowering these rods between the uranium fuel rods, operators can soak up just the right number of extra neutrons. This allows them to keep the chain reaction going at a steady, manageable, and constant rate. This controlled reaction produces a reliable and continuous flow of immense heat. From there, the process is actually quite familiar. This heat is used to boil vast amounts of water, creating high-pressure steam. That steam is then channeled to spin a giant turbine, which in turn drives a generator to produce electricity. So in a way, a nuclear power plant is just a very, very high-tech steam engine. The crucial difference is that it generates all that heat without burning a single fossil fuel and without releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Okay, so we know how it's made, but that still doesn't fully explain why it's so mind-bogglingly strong. The answer lies in one of the most famous equations in all of science, cooked up by none other than Albert Einstein, EMC2. Let's break it down. E is for energy, M is for mass, and C is the speed of light, an absolutely enormous number. What Einstein's equation reveals is that mass and energy are fundamentally the same thing, two sides of the same coin. It tells us that you can convert a tiny, tiny amount of mass into a staggering amount of energy. This is precisely what happens during nuclear fission. If you were to take the original uranium-235 atom and weigh it, and then weigh the two smaller atoms it splits into, you'd find something amazing. The two smaller pieces, added together, weigh slightly less than the original atom. Where did that tiny bit of missing mass go? It wasn't lost. It was converted directly into that massive burst of energy we talked about, exactly as predicted by ERMC2. Because you're multiplying that tiny bit of mass by the speed of light squared, a colossal number, the energy output is just gigantic. To truly grasp the scale here, let's compare it to the energy we're more familiar with, like burning coal. When you burn coal, you're causing a chemical reaction. You're just rearranging the bonds between the electrons that orbit the outside of atoms. The nucleus at the center remains completely untouched. The forces holding electrons in orbit are relatively weak, so the energy you get out is limited. Nuclear energy, on the other hand, involves breaking apart the nucleus itself. The forces holding that nucleus together, called the strong nuclear force, are millions of times stronger than the chemical forces that hold electrons. Therefore, when you break those bonds, the energy released is millions of times greater for each reaction. Let me leave you with a stunning fact that puts this all into perspective. A single uranium fuel pellet, which is about the size of a pencil eraser, contains the same amount of energy as 1 ton of coal, or 149 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. All of that power, packed into something you can hold between your fingers. This incredible energy density is why a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier can sail for over 20 years without ever needing to refuel. It's why a small amount of material can power an entire city, and why, when uncontrolled, it has the power to destroy one. So, to sum it all up, we don't make nuclear energy. We unlock the energy already stored in atoms by splitting their nuclei in a controlled chain reaction. And the reason it's so powerful is that it converts a tiny fraction of mass directly into a colossal amount of energy, thanks to the magic of EMC2. It's a process millions of times more efficient than any chemical reaction we use today. It's a testament to our understanding of the universe that we can harness the very forces that hold matter together. Thank you so much for watching and exploring the heart of the atom with me. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you in the next video.